Hi, everybody. Before I get started, I think it'd be remiss to, I want to dedicate this talk to two people, two very close people to me. I lost them within a month of each other, and I just want to highlight my grandmother, Beatrice Rose Reyes Calimquim, and a former student, James Glenn Babb. If there were any people who were so different from each other, it would be those two, down to the time and space that they occupied. But the one thing that they did have in common is that they knew the impact of resetting. And so, Nanai, Chubbs, Mr. Babb, this one's for you. All right, first and foremost, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am very grateful for being here. Anyone know the Control-Alt-Delete thing on the computer? It's one of my favorite combinations to do. It's like, okay, let's just Control-Alt-Delete. And so, let's press start. I'm so grateful for being here. The past 2 years have been not the best. Yeah, taught us a lot, taught me a lot. There were a lot of stressful parts. COVID took away two of the most important things in my life. It took away travel, which I'm happy to say I'm down now to 9 US states to see. If anyone has any tips on Iowa, I'd be very appreciative of that. And it took away my time in front of kids. Zoom is a wonderful piece of technology. It does not match the power that you can have in a classroom. So I'm happy to have that. Happy to be here because I saw some former students out there. I'm like, wow, you guys came. It's amazing to have that back. And so COVID was a big reset for a lot of us, big reset for me. Taught me a lot. Taught me that health is intertwined, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, all intertwined together. I tried to tell that to myself a lot while sitting on the couch watching Netflix. I learned that DoorDash is really expensive. I should learn how to cook, probably. And the introverts that was inside of me for a big part of my life came back to life, because when you're isolated, the introvert has to come out. Didn't need a lot of people, just needed my core, and just needed my time. And it was nice to have that back. One of the things that came back into my life after a hiatus of, say, 5 years were video games. I used to play video games a lot when I was a kid, and when COVID hit, started playing video games even more. It helped pass the time. And so I did join a community on Twitch. For all the young people out there, you know what Twitch is. Learn that you can have a community online and around video games. I never thought I'd be one of those people to watch people play video games, but here I am doing that and moderating channels that do that. And so naturally, when I saw the theme of reset, I was like, hey, let's talk about video games. All right, so video games brought out a little sibling rivalry. These are my siblings. I have my sister, she's actually in the audience over there, and my brother, and my two cousins. I forget who this was. You guys remember? I don't remember her. But she wasn't a cousin. She was like a cousin's girlfriend, and she's no longer in the picture. But two cousins, brother and sister, and we grew up like siblings. My cousins and I, our family, we grew up together like we were actual siblings. And so we had a lot of sibling rivalry. A lot of video games were multiplayer. Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, Super Mario, like all that stuff we were able to play together. And then we were even playing one-player games, which, believe it or not, brought out a lot of the sibling rivalry too, because the rivalry came down to whose turn is it to play this game. And so one game that really came out that we really enjoyed was Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing came out in 2001 on the GameCube. It was supposed to be this really chill, relaxing game. You could fish, you could build things, you had neighbors who were animals that talked to you, you could do chores. Like, it was just this really amazing game that you could just have Zen moments with. But with my siblings, no such thing. There was one time when my sister and I were having an argument about whose turn it was. And so I went up to her and was like, hey, it's my turn to play. And she looked at me, she's like, no, it's not, it's my turn. And so what I did, I went up to the console and I pressed reset. So I was so mad. I was like, it's my turn now. And so when you press reset, though, there's a character that comes up. His name is Mr. Resetti. And Mr. Resetti pops up after you reset the game. And you go through these series of conversations with him. So for example, when you reset, he says resetting, it's like pressing an emergency call button. You press it, and I gotta come read you the riot act, you see? And then you go through some more conversations with him. Yeah, do me a favor and answer this one question. Pray tell, is there a reset button in your world? Imagine being 15, like, whoa, this guy's really serious right now, you know? And then he keeps going, he says, all right, what to do? They don't exactly cover hoodlums like you and the reset prevention manual. He called me a hoodlum. Well, called my sister a hoodlum. And then he gets angry. Look at his face. You see that face? My gosh. And then you were going to go and do it again, weren't you? Just now, your finger was creeping over to reset. And then he actually makes you go through this whole thing. He's like, hey, say this. Say I was bad. To a 15-year-old. And then, not being able to do things over again, that's called life. And you best get used to it. And that was the message we were all told when we were playing this really chill, calm game. Mr. Resetti did not pass the vibe check. Did not pass the vibe check. And so, here is Mr. Resetti in all his glory and in all his anger. This was the original lesson of Mr. Resetti. Resetting is shameful. Don't do it. You have better things to do. Just keep going. If you reset, you should feel bad about yourself. He also said resetting deserves punishment. If you do it, suffer the consequences. And so, why? The internal message that Mr. Resetti taught me, my generation, and kind of still lingers, is that you should have everything figured out. If you knew everything you needed to know, you wouldn't have to reset. Just keep going. And you need to be right all the time. It's a lot of pressure to always have to do that. And then afterwards, he also said, if you're not right, just live with your mistakes. Have that shame inside of you. Be that person that made the mistake and just live with it. And that was a tough message to swallow when you were 16. But, like all creatures, give enough time to things, and evolution can occur. And so Mr. Resetti evolves in this video. So, you're looking at that, and you're saying, is that the same mole? Is that the same character who had this angry face, who is now sitting in a cafe, calm music in the background, sipping his coffee, and saying, hey, I'm cool, calm, and collected now. Everything's all good, and yes, that is the same character. It took 20 years for Mr. Resetti to do that, because the new game that came out, Animal Crossing New Horizons, just came out last year, or actually 2020. And then the new update, 2021, with Mr. Resetti right there. 20 years to have a new outlook about reset. And that's okay, because no longer angry, thankfully, the new lesson of Mr. Resetti is this. First thing, resetting paves a way for evolution, for reflection. If you hit the reset button, I never want you to think like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something really bad. It sets you up to do something amazing with your life. It allows you to pause, allows you to breathe, allows you to say, you know what? This is not where I want to be. Let's do something about it. And resetting allows you to evolve. As you can see with Mr. Resetti, no longer angry, no longer screaming at children, just having this nice moment in a cafe, having a good conversation with them instead. And you have these questions that you might still have. Questions like, you don't have everything figured out? It's okay. Take a moment, figure it out, and then go on with your life. You don't like the path you're on? It's okay too. Hang a left, hang a right, make a U-turn. Find a path that works for you if the one you're on doesn't work for you right now. And are you living with a mistake? I know I live with many. If you don't like the repercussions of your mistake, go out there, fix it, claim it, and fix it, and become a better person because of it. Don't let it bring you down. And so, if it's time to reset, it's time to reset. I know resetting can be scary and overwhelming. Guess what? I did it. I resetted as an emerging adult. So here I am in my classroom. This is my first year at Fisher Middle School. And there were a lot of things that evolved from my time to become, to this point, to be here. When I was in college, I was studying pre-law. I studied political science, I studied law and society, I had a minor in religion. I thought I was going to go to law school, become this big shot lawyer, and just make tons of money. And I had to reset that. There was a kid I was tutoring, my 4th year of college, and he was taking his 3rd year of geometry. And he looked at me, he's like, Cal, I can't do this. This is so hard. Those of you who have taken geometry, you know how tough geometry can be. And so he told me that he couldn't do it. And I told him, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you do it. And so he went into his final, his 3rd time, and he looked at me and he's like, Cal, I don't know. I said, okay, just go. You can do this. We've studied hard enough for this. And he went in, and he came back in January. And he said, Cal, I passed my 1st semester of geometry. I said, whoa, that's amazing. And he looked at me. He's like, you need to do this for the rest of your life. And I said, what? You want me to teach geometry for the rest of my life? And I said, oh, geez. It was a lot to take on, but I decided to reset that path for myself. 4 years taking poli-sci, and I said, you know what? I hit the reset button. Was it easy? No. I had to do a lot of research and find different ways to make sure that the path I was going to retake was going to help me with what I wanted to do. And so I took a semester off, and I found ways to make sure that this could work. And then the other thing I resetted was the fact that I thought I was going to be a San Diego kid for the rest of my life. I love San Diego. You guys have been to San Diego? Love it down there. And I thought I was going to be there forever. And when no jobs were available, when I was looking for a teaching position, I realized uh-oh, I think I need to go somewhere else. And I found this little town called Los Gatos. And I asked my sister, hey, how far is Los Gatos from you? She's like, oh, it's about 20 minutes. I'm like, cool, I'm coming up. I think to her dismay, she's like, what? What's happening? And so I'm here. And I realized that all of that resetting was an amazing thing for me. The first message that I got about resetting is that resetting doesn't always have to mean you start at the very beginning. I think it's very scary sometimes because you think, okay, I need to do this thing, and it's going to just take everything away that I have done. But it doesn't. It doesn't have to be that way. I actually can teach not political science, I can teach government and civics to a bunch of kids. Like, okay, so that degree didn't go to waste. It doesn't have to be a full reset of what you want to do. And the second message that I got is that there can be a lot of benefits from resetting. The connections I've made here, the memories I've created, the purpose I have realized by being in this small town for the past 10 years, I couldn't imagine having it anywhere else. I am so grateful for being here and being able to do what I do and do what I love for the past 10 years in this town. And so I don't want you to think that resetting is going to be this scary thing. It doesn't have to be. I took that leap. If you have something in your life that's making you feel like I need to reset, I say go for it. And so, is this game over? I hope not. If video games are not your jam, let's talk about Wi-Fi. I took 43 eighth graders to the East Coast, to DC, to New York City, and to some colonial settlements in Virginia. And it never failed. Every building we entered, Mr. Cal, do you know the Wi-Fi password? I said, oh my gosh. Every single time, never failed. And so if you know about Wi-Fi, and if you ever look at your phone like, okay, I got Wi-Fi, but you ever get that little exclamation point next to the Wi-Fi? Or the X across the Wi-Fi, you're like, oh, where's the Wi-Fi at? And then if you're at home, you go to the little box, and you have to do that whole resetting process. Stick the little thing in for 10 seconds, hold it, let it go, wait 5 minutes until you plug it back in, like that whole process, right? It takes a whole big process to get that Wi-Fi back, but once it does come back, it's stronger than ever. And the same is true with all of you. Resetting is not going to be this instantaneous thing that brings about this joy, this purpose, this love of life that you might want. Resetting is a process, a patient process. And if you can do that, I promise you that everything that you are looking for yourself, what you're looking forward to, it can come to fruition. Because if you're not going down the path that you want, hit the reset button. It takes time. Be patient with it. Be patient with yourself, and you can achieve what you really want to achieve. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to me. I got, it's hot up here. But it's okay. It just means that I'm working for it, you know? If you go out there and you find a chance to reset, do it. And please be kind to each other. Thank you so much.